Guys.
Caleb, you want to lead us off with Fidel?
Yeah, for sure. Fidel, congrats on not only your first preseason match, but your first start with RSL. How'd you feel like today went for you?
Thank you. Yeah, I thought as a team and especially individually, I feel like we brought out what we were working these past 2 3 weeks in preseason. Personally, I think I gave a good game. I feel like I created chances, had goal scoring opportunities. I feel like that's what my job was as a player. But overall, I'm happy. I mean, not with the result, but with my performance and the team's performance.
Yeah, the result wasn't quite there, I guess, with the loss, but how did you feel like you were able to play with your teammates, with it being the first time in a real match with these new guys?
I felt good. I felt like they had trust in me, playing me the balls in between the lines as a 10. I feel like they had the trust in me to create goal scoring opportunities, and overall, I felt good.
Awesome. And then what are you looking to maybe improve upon in your next game?
Trying to feel more comfortable with the ball, try not to lose it as much. That's what I'm looking for in my next game.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Hey, Fidel, great game. Hey, just wanted to ask you, how has it been integrating with the squad in preseason now that you've been there for, about a week? What is it? Have you been getting to know your teammates? How have you felt comfortable in training and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, outside training, outside the games, I feel like just in the hotel or back in Utah, I think we had good connections. I feel like we got along fast, and I feel like that's important for good chemistry in the game and overall in the trains as well. We've been connecting good. Feel comfortable. I trust them. So overall, it's been good.
Awesome. And then last one for me is going up against a European team like Brondby, who's, pretty good in the Danish league. How did you feel going up against competition like that? And what kind of confidence did it give you having such a good game?
Yeah, especially like you said, a team from Europe. I feel like we all came prepared and wanting to win. It's a whole different level, and I feel like we kept up, especially individually. I felt, I gained a lot of confidence, especially my first preseason game. I feel like I could bring this level into the MLS season and hopefully kill it there too.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Isai.
Hola Fidel, bueno, también felicitarte por tu participación en el partido de hoy. Tú mismo lo dijiste, te sentiste bien, no por el resultado, sino por tu rendimiento. ¿Qué crees que faltó un poco más en la zona de adelante del equipo en el partido de hoy?
Muchas gracias. Yo creo que el fin faltó más, se puede decir, confianza, más calma, buscar ese pase final o el tiro. Yo creo que tuvimos oportunidades adelante, pero fue eso, de tener calma y la confianza de tener ese último pase a tirar el gol.
¿Con qué jugador te sentiste más conectado durante el juego? Bueno, fue el primer partido de pretemporada, no ha habido actividad de muchos jugadores en un buen rato en un juego como estos, pero ¿con quién te sentiste mejor conectado en este partido?
Yo diría con Michael Chang, el extremo. Yo creo que durante el partido me dio mucha confianza diciéndome qué hacer, y también pues esa conexión que teníamos juntos durante el partido.
Gracias.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Hola Fidel, enhorabuena porque hiciste un muy buen debut. Una cosa que te quería preguntar, ¿estuviste cómodo en posición de enganche? Me imagino. Me acuerdo que cuando te entrevistamos dijiste que era la posición que te sentías más cómodo, ¿no?
Sí,
¿Sentiste bien ahí?
sí, de 10 de interior es mi posición, se puede decir, favorita y más con la que tengo más confianza.
Ujú. Lo que vi que quizás el equipo tocó mucho el balón, pero les faltó algo de juego más directo, ¿no? De llegar
Sí,
con más claridad.
Sí, al fin, sí, yo creo que también era eso de buscar pues, ese pase a Diego, a mí, y para pues poder afinizar, buscar a los delanteros, a los extremos para meter gol. Yo creo que sí faltó un poquito más de eso.
¿Te dijo eso el técnico? ¿Te comentaron eso?
Sí, sí, en medio tiempo comentaron eso de tener los 10 buscando ese espacio, a mí, a Diego, a buscar pues el espacio donde podemos dar vuelta pues buscar esa zona de buscar a los delanteros y a los extremos.
Gracias.
Alex, Sean, did you guys have anything for Fidel? Caleb, did you have a follow-up? Okay, Fidel, thank you, sir. We'll see you again later this week.
All good, thank you.
I wish. I would rather be there with you.
Dude, I still can't believe you're not here, Trey.
His camera's off because the
But-
two of us are actually on 16 at Bonneville.
Hey, that's what it is.
Pablo, that's me.
No, I love the fact that you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should Trey knows that.
Trey, I'm so happy Dummy's here.
Now I know you're lying.
Now I know he's lying too.
Tell me you want to turn Pablo's camera on? Get going. There he is.
Hey, team.
Caleb, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, for sure. I guess maybe to start out, just your overall thoughts on first preseason match.
Yeah, no, I think it was great to play against someone other than ourselves. There's a lot of stuff that we've been working on the last couple of weeks on both sides of the ball, and it was great to see the guys, execute and doing it against a really good opponent. I think it's a tough first opponent in preseason, given that the form that they're in their league. But I thought the guys handled themselves well. We made some adjustments at halftime, and the first group really, took the game at the beginning of the second half. And then the guys that came in the 70th minute did a really good job of continuing to keep the momentum kind of with us. So, and then obviously for all the younger players to get a sniff of what it's like to play play against a team that's in the first division of a different country is really good. They were a really good side. And so and the other part too was the minutes that we were looking to achieve, and we kind of extended it by 10 minutes because we felt like the guys were in a good way. So all in all, it was a really good exercise for us, and obviously a lot of things to take away from the game and continue to work on whilst we wait for some of the other guys to get back in with the group. And but everyone did a really good job.
Yeah, on that similar note, it's still very early and there's new guys and guys that haven't arrived yet. But I was curious about just a couple of the decisions in the starting lineup, namely what went into Barajas getting his first start, and then Eric Holt in the defense.
Yeah, I think again we're building in a 3, and Eric Holt kind of fits that on the right side, given that Bodie's been out with injury, and Brody's playing essentially left back, but also in our build he's a left wing back, and so that's kind of thought behind that. And then Barajas, our width on the right was Michael Chang, and they both played interior and out wide, but I feel like Fidel can play like we're asking him to play like a 10 in possession and defend from the front in defense, and that's something that he'll adjust to and keep getting better at. But he had some really good moments tonight.
Awesome, thanks.
Go ahead, Alex.
Pablo, going back to talking about your guys' opponent, it might be a little bit early to tell, but what difference does it make going out to Europe and playing these European teams rather than, going through preseason and playing MLS squads?
Yeah, I think it's different. One, because even though they're on their break, they're halfway through their season, and so they're a team that's in form, and Brøndby's second in their league, off by a point. So they're a really good team. And for me, it's really thinking about the way we handle the game, how we handle moments that are unfamiliar to us, because we don't have a lot of scouting on Brøndby other than what we see and what we deliver to the guys. But really, preseason is really there for us. And so the focus in the pregame was about the things that we want to do, regardless of who the opponent is. But when you get on the field, you realize that these guys are operating. They're in mid-season form. So it's always tough to come abroad. It's tough to go away in the United States in MLS and play an opponent. It's I think a little bit more difficult when you're playing against an opponent that's that resides here in Europe. So, but I think all in all, it was a really good exercise for us.
And then Pablo, too, just going back to talk a little bit about, the missing guys. You talked a lot about in the preseason about how there's so many changes with the coaching staff and the way you guys want to play. Is it difficult to kind of impose the new way that you want to play when you're missing so many guys?
Yeah. It definitely has its challenges. I think the way I framed it is, at least the guys that we're counting on to be what we perceive to be starters for the first game are getting the information. And so we'll have to, and Pablo's here with the group, so he's getting dripped the information. But it's really Chicho, Andres, Nelson Palacio, and there's some big, not so much for Palacio, the ask for him will be pretty similar to what it was last year, but for Nelson, it's the pivot work is very intricate, and it's very detailed, and it's a different way of kind of thinking the game. And then obviously Chicho's a 9, and the ask is that he does what he does, which is score goals. So it shouldn't be too bad as far as getting those other guys up to speed. But obviously it'd be a lot easier if everyone was in camp and spent the last couple of weeks where it's been a lot of tactics and going through all these things. And what we want to do is use the preseason for the thinking part, so that when we get to the regular season, it's second nature. You're not thinking about, oh, am I supposed to be here? It's more organic. And obviously it's going to take more than just a preseason to get to where we want to go. But again, there's some really good progress in that for the guys that are here, which hopefully will make the transition for the other guys that aren't a little bit easier, given that they can communicate it out in the field.
Awesome. Thank you, Pablo.
Yep. Johnny, you're next, then Carlos.
Pablo, my first question for you is not just for this game, but throughout preseason that you've had them so far. Who have been some of your standout performers so far?
Yeah, I think the guys in the back, I think, Glad, Vera, Brody, Mecca, Ojeda. I would say those guys. I think Fidel has been good, just given where he's come from and how he's adapting. But when you're asking me, like, consistent performers, right? I think that's the key, is guys that are in every single day and they're performing at an 8 or better every single day. I would really focus on those guys. And ironically, those are the guys that more than likely we're going to start the season with. So it's good to see that part.
Absolutely. And then my last question for you is, I just kind of want to ask you, now that you have these guys in Portugal, what's kind of like the spirit of the group right now? Their mentality going into training in this game, kind of like the competitive level, and just kind of like the cohesiveness of them as just kind of like as characters.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. I think oftentimes when you have the same group, whether it's staff or players, preseason can get a bit monotonous because you know what to expect. You know, I think with so many new faces on the staff, players, and in particular the youth of the group, it's been really, really exciting. And I think some of these younger players have been rubbing off on us in a real positive way. They're very gregarious, very, you know, they're very entertaining. And, you know, after dinner, we have a couple guys doing some songs, guys that are going out to dinner together, guys are walking on the beach. And so from just a group feel, you know, being in Portugal, being right on the ocean, playing a game against Brondby in a stadium, it's been, you know, the feeling's been electric. And then, you know, the training center, the training fields are right outside the hotel. And so it's an easy transition in. So everything's been top level. And again, I think the mindset of the group was really what that kept us, you know, in the game and gave us a chance to equalize because of that and because of the camaraderie and the spirit. So that part will be really important as we continue to progress the preseason.
Awesome. Thanks, Pablo.
Vamos, Carlos.
Hola, Pablo.
Hola, Carlos.
Me gustó el debut del equipo, pero hay varias cosas, digamos, que quiero preguntarte. Lo primero, ¿el 4-2-3-1 va a ser, digamos, la base de tu esquema para esta temporada?
Vamos a atacar en una formación de 3-2-4-1 y vamos a defender 4-4-2 o a veces 4-2-3-1. La flexibilidad. Hoy día defendimos un poco más 4-2-3-1, pero siempre vamos a atacar en ese 3-2-4-1.
Me llamó la atención de que se tocó muy bien, hubo fases del partido donde el control del balón lo tuvo total y absolutamente el equipo, lo tocaba muy bien, pero quizás faltó algo más de transición, ¿no? De rápida transición, que tú decías que una de las cosas que perseguías era un fútbol más directo en esta temporada, que lo consiguió Fidel en algunos momentos, ¿no? Si vimos que Fidel en esa posición lo estuvo haciendo en ambos lados de la cancha, por la izquierda y por la derecha, ¿no?
No, yo creo que lo viste como lo vi yo. O sea, hemos entrenado la parte de construcción, el fase de construcción de atrás para asegurar que los pasos dentro de los jugadores son ideal. Y eso fue lo más importante que quisimos ver hoy. El parte del medio yendo para el ataque, para adelante, todavía nos falta bastante, pero yo creo que también cuando tenemos el Pablo en el medio campo, tenemos ojalá el Chicho, eso va a cambiar con esos jugadores. Pero ahora esta semana nos vamos a poner a trabajar en esa fase porque lo vi lo mismo, no fuimos muy peligrosos en frente del arco, pero es porque no puede hacer todo en 2 semanas. Pasamos mucho tiempo en la fase de construcción y para mí los pibes vi que entendieron el ejercicio, vi que entienden las tácticas y ahora necesitamos seguir con los movimientos, seguir con las ideas, pero ojalá con los 4 jugadores que van a estar en frente van a marcar la diferencia.
La última cosa, defensivamente, trabajó muy bien el equipo, pero otra vez errores individuales de toma de decisiones erróneas te cuestan goles, ¿no? Eso es difícil de corregir porque al final es una decisión personal, ¿no? Hay poco puedes hacer, ¿no?
Eso es lo difícil de ser un entrenador, porque quiere controlar todo y sabe que cuando los chicos están en la cancha, toman las decisiones. Lo único que podemos hacer como entrenadores es apoyar al jugador, darle confianza y mejorar día por día. Es lo único que podemos hacer. Pero mira, si es un partido del campeonato en MLS, podemos cambiar unas cosas con los jugadores, pero como de pretemporada, enfocamos todo en cómo quisimos defender y cómo quisimos construir de atrás. Y eso yo creo que hicimos bien. Y como dije, hace no sé, 2, 3 meses que no tenemos un partido competitivo y esas cosas pasan porque el otro equipo ya viene en ritmo y nosotros todavía estamos ganando ese ritmo.
Gracias, Pablo.
Ok,
Isai,
Carlos.
you're up next.
Hola Pablo, ¿cómo estás? Bueno, no fue el resultado quizás que esperabas, es la verdad muy pronto el poder dar un análisis concreto del partido, por lo mismo que tú mencionaste, 2, 3 meses sin un partido competitivo, pero este 11 que tú estableciste en el partido de hoy, en base a lo que va a ser el partido de inicio de temporada contra Miami, ¿qué tan parecido es?
Yo creo que van a haber, ojalá, y todo depende, pero van a haber 5 jugadores diferentes en el equipo, porque el Chicho todavía no llega con el grupo, el Andrés tiene una lesión en la rodilla, el Nelson ha jugado muchos partidos y un jugador nuevo que ojalá lo podamos asegurar en los próximos días, llega al grupo. Y también el lateral izquierdo que recién vino con el grupo, llegó ayer. Así, yo creo que van a haber por lo menos 5 jugadores que podemos cambiar para el primer partido contra Miami. Pero también tenemos que ver dónde están físicamente. Como dije, el Chicho todavía no está, el Andrés tiene lesión, pero yo creo que, y por eso es un resultado que o sea, como entrenador, la pretemporada es para aprender. Claro, queremos ganar todos los partidos que jugamos, pero lo más importante para mí es que entienden lo que queremos, así cuando llega a Miami ya no están pensando, lo están haciendo.
Y para ti como entrenador, ¿qué tan difícil es afrontar esta situación de que al menos 3 jugadores importantes en tu esquema el final de temporada pasada no se encuentran todavía con el equipo, ya faltando 2 semanas, 2 semanas y media para el partido contra Miami?
Lo único que yo sé de este trabajo es que cada día cuando me despierto hay un desafío grande de frente. O sea, este es el trabajo. Todos los entrenadores quieren cosas ahora, ayer, pero lo más importante es controlar las cosas que podemos controlar y lo demás hacemos el mejor trabajo que podemos y seguimos adelante.
Bueno, ya última pregunta. Mencionaste que ojalá puedan asegurar un jugador pronto en los siguientes días. Nada más una pequeña pista. ¿Es posiblemente un jugador en ataque? Porque el equipo esta offseason perdió jugadores importantes, hablando de Rubio, de Savarino, de Musovski, de Kreilach, todos ellos jugadores en ataque, y el equipo básicamente cuenta con Chicho, Fidel y Julio, que son los que están más disponibles por el momento.
Sí, y también el Luna, pero sí, no, es un jugador atacante, que ha tenido éxito en la liga donde juega y espero que llegue pronto. Pues no, espero que aseguramos el jugador primero y después que llega pronto, pero como estamos ahora, no creo que va a estar para el primer partido, a lo mejor el segundo partido también. Así tenemos que encontrar la manera con los jugadores que tenemos acá para para hacer el mejor plan, para sacar un resultado contra Miami.
Gracias.
Pablo, just the last question, and I apologize if you covered this in Spanish, but I guess, what was the adjustment at halftime, or what were some of the things you saw that led to that really great period of possession, those first, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes of the second half?
Yeah, it's really interesting because oftentimes when you're not getting a lot of the ball, it's because you're defending poorly, right? And then it's either that or you're just not clean and executing with the ball in the day. And for me, just standing on the sidelines, we had really 2 guys doing one job on the right side with Holt and Chang. And if you can't get pressure on the ball and you have a spare man in the back, you're never going to get pressure on the ball. Therefore, you're not going to win the ball. You're not going to create transition moments, and you're not going to be able to build your way into the game. And so the adjustment really was Chang defending a little bit more inside, dealing with their wing back, and then getting pressure on the ball. And so once we started getting pressure on the ball, they started coughing the ball up, and then we kind of grow into the game from that perspective. And a little bit had to do also with the width of our back line. We want a narrow back line, and we were stretching out the back line to where our passes were more like 25 yards. We want, 10, 12-yard passes. And so those two adjustments, I think, kind of gave the group a good foundation to build from. And they really, they executed it really well in the first part of the second half.
Massive line change with about 20 minutes left with 10 guys coming in, obviously mixed group with, I think we know what to expect from Silva and Oviedo and some of those guys, but with a Griffin Dillon or an Aiden or a Iskandarian, there's some of the younger guys. How have just maybe some of those guest players or those Monarchs players or some of the unexpected guys that are on this trip, how have they, I guess, fared the first week or so of camp?
No, they've been great, Trey. They've really taken on to the work. And again, the interesting thing with young players is they're real malleable, right? They're not set in the way of playing. They're very open. They want to learn. So this group of guys have been fantastic, and they've been approaching the work the right way. Great teammates, train really well, and really raise the level in training because they're competing the right way. Because again, younger players are trying to earn their way. So they've been fantastic, and so it's been a really good camp for them. It's been a really good camp for our team, and just really look forward to building off of this performance as we continue to build for the first game of the season.
Awesome. Thank you, Pablo. We'll see you after the game on Tuesday.
All right, guys. Thank you.